Some teams get love and media recognition for their in-season accomplishments. Other teams face more scrutiny and are questioned as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Mainstream TV networks that broadcast various sports shows love to create certain false narratives that sound like they make sense, when in reality they lack depth and are sometimes utter nonsense. In some cases, you have some of these sports personalities express their personal bias against or for certain teams, sometimes players, and base their arguments to prop them up or tear them down. When you take a look at each individual team and where they stand as Super Bowl contenders, you have to examine all kinds of factors to make a fair determination. In this video, we will take a look at how each team has played against other playoff contenders. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Jake, otherwise known as Pac-Man Jake. You guessed that, I'm a Packer fan, but I do some videos on other teams. If you're a fan of football, you're very much welcome to subscribe to my channel for more videos like these. Also, be sure to turn that like button from gray to blue. With all that said, let's examine each playoff team or contender known as the good teams to see how they have fared against other contenders. Let's start with the AFC, simply because I like to go in alphabetical order, where there are 8 good teams, approximately. The Bills are currently, as of Week 15, that have played the most games against teams with winning records. The Titans and Dolphins each played 5, the Steelers played 4, so the Bills had more opportunities to play against some tougher teams where the Steelers have not. However, if you want to make some comparisons team versus team, you can see that the Bills are an even 3-3 against playoff contenders. The Steelers are 4-1, just losing to the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The Tennessee Titans are currently 2-4 and Miami at 2-3. The last 4 contending teams have also played 4 or 5 playoff contenders. The Ravens have a tough schedule by facing contenders 7 times because they played the Browns and Steelers twice. The Browns got the Ravens twice, losing both games. Without much examination, you may think that the Ravens are better than the Browns because they beat them twice, and the Steelers are better than the Ravens because they beat them twice. That may be the case, but there were some circumstances that didn't swing in the Ravens' favor when they faced the Steelers, like injuries or COVID, for example. The results we get in the NFL is very much a week-to-week thing. Sometimes we expect certain things to happen, and they just don't. I mean, take a look at what happened last week when the Jets beat the Rams in Los Angeles. We all know that the Jets are not better than the Rams. Anyway, back to the initial point. The Ravens and Browns have had their fair share of wins against good teams and losses. A good team will eventually lose to another good football team. It hasn't happened yet to the Chiefs yet, who have been a great team against playoff contenders. All of them have been on the road, surprisingly. They have 1 loss on the season, and that was at home against the Raiders, who are currently a 500 team. So they did lose to a team that still has a chance to make the playoffs. If you are keeping records, the Ravens are 3-4, the Browns 2-3, the Colts 2-3, and the Chiefs unbeaten at 5-0. Now heading on over to the NFC, this is where I want to address my main point. With the Packers, Saints, and Seahawks only playing good teams 3 times, may prompt people to think that they have easy schedules and haven't played anybody. I think it's more due to the fact that the NFC isn't as strong as the AFC when it comes to competition for the playoffs. Also, take this into consideration. When the schedules come out every year, the schedule makers don't intentionally make it where it's easier for certain teams. That is a false narrative that has been spread around by the mainstream media. It's just how things have just played out for the season. Some bad teams were expected to be bad, but some have been good. Some good teams were expected to be good, but have been bad. In this instance, the teams listed here have been a little lucky to face some weaker competition, and just because they have played some weaker teams doesn't necessarily mean they can't beat other good teams. The Packers, Saints, and Buccaneers are good teams that have 1 win and multiple losses against other playoff teams, but that doesn't mean that they can't beat good teams. It's mostly because of the opportunities they haven't been there like it has been for the AFC teams. The Packers are currently 1-2 against playoff teams. All of them have been road games. None of them have been at Lambeau. The Saints beat the Bucs twice, but lost to the Packers and Chiefs at home. That's 2-2 if you're scoring at home. Tampa Bay has played the most games out of this group. They have a 1-4 record against teams with winning records. And the Seattle Seahawks played the Cardinals twice, splitting with them. They have an even 2-2 record going into Week 16. These last two contenders, the Rams and Cardinals, have been a little bit more battle-tested, where the Rams and Cardinals have had a good mixture of NFC and AFC contenders. A 3-2 record is fairly strong for both squads, where the Rams' losses have all come on the road, but do have some impressive wins at Tampa Bay and at Arizona. The Cardinals have had all their wins at home, with a loss at Seattle and a home loss against the Miami Dolphins. Then there's a possible other contender that I should briefly mention, the Washington football team. They are currently at 6-8, but look like the team that will win the NFC East and get a shot to contend for the Super Bowl. They have had some stiff competition this season and played 6 games against NFC and AFC contenders. If they had a softer schedule, they may have had a better record and would be given more respect as a Super Bowl contender. And finally, I would like to touch up on these last 2 points so that way everything is completely crystal clear. The first point I want to make is that records against good teams are not the only factor to judge a football team and how they do during the course of the regular season and into the playoffs. If you base a team based off of head-to-head competition against good football teams, that is very lazy analysis. And the second and last point is that every playoff team will have a legitimate shot to win the Super Bowl, and that would even include the winner of the NFC East, that might be the Washington football team. So there are no fraudulent playoff football teams. The whole idea of a fraudulent football team is media-driven and is complete utter nonsense. If you made it this far into this video, thanks very much for watching to the very end. I'll continue to keep working on more of these videos so all NFL team fans can enjoy and learn more about this great game of football. Later, everyone.